Hello everyone, today is the first day of the Sojourn summer sale over on Patreon, running from today July 1st to Sunday July 5th. This time we've reduced 2 Patreon rewards down to the lowest tier at $5, that's the fantastic CDF uniforms chart, one of my favourites, with brilliant artwork from the wonderful Food Cube, it's really cool, and in an excellent companion piece to that we've also reduced the cost of the Sojourn ranks and medals chart. For this week only, you can get both of those at the lowest tier, $5, and also, as usual, you'll get every episode of the Sojourn released so far, and every wallpaper pack, and all that good stuff. You can download everything to keep and then cancel your subscription if you choose. However, should you choose to stick around on Patreon, it's now not long at all until Volume 3 of the Sojourn Season 2 starts to drop on Patreon, where you get the episodes a few weeks early as they come out, and you can join us for the exclusive Patreon listening parties over on Discord. So if you've been waiting to check the series out, maybe this summer sale is the time to go for it. Check it out at the link below, and in the meantime, I hope you enjoy this video. In addition to the main range of ballistic weapons used across Tantalus, comprising the various tiers of coil gun, in addition to swivel guns and carronades, there are a number of less common weapons occasionally seen mounted on fighting vessels across the cluster. Some left over from the annals of history, and others designed for particularly specialised purposes. Falconets are essentially a step between a swivel gun and a bodkin-lock coil gun. Available in both rail-laid and coil-laid formats, they offer a lower rate of fire but greater weight of shot than a swivel emplacement. Frequently loaded with fragmentary or fused explosive rounds, Falconets are viciously effective in boat and cutter combat, whilst also being useful to augment the firepower of a larger ship. Falconets were particularly popular with the CDF and other institutions shortly prior to the start of the Great Marissian exile, and as a result they have survived as a Marissian favourite, long after they fell out of favour across the rest of Tantalus. Used to great effect by Marissian revenue cutters and smaller PMC gunships, Falconets are also a popular export product, naturally finding their way into the hands of various groups of pirates and vagabonds across Tantalus. Another once popular Centron weapon, which has lived on in the Marissian arsenal, is the Culverin. Originally little more than a terminological trend for a rail-laid weapon extremely similar to a bodkin-lock coil gun, the Culverin has had a strange evolution in Marissian hands during the exile. Affected by the extreme popularity of carronades in Marissian space, the Culverin developed into an attempt to retain some of the extreme weight of shot offered by carronades over a substantially longer range. Using high-density materials in the ammunition, and an extremely high-power acceleration which could frequently cause electrical overloads, modern Culverins offer a chance to strike a distant vessel with an extremely heavy shot before it can evade, at a fraction of the cost of a Centron quarrel lock gun. In reality, however, Culverins are extremely inaccurate, so much so that they are generally only used at short range anyway, rendering them little more than a strange offshoot of a carronade. But for an especially unlucky victim, the threat of a stray Culverin round at great range remains an unlikely but unnerving possibility. The rarely seen and largest caliber weapons in Tantalus, siege carronades, are a weapon that takes the popular principle of the carronade to its most extreme conclusion. Where a carronade fires projectiles at such slow velocity that they are only effective at very close range, a siege carronade fires a simply enormous projectile, so slow and so heavy that it is literally only viable against static targets like stations and other fortifications which cannot perform any kind of evasive maneuver. Used almost exclusively on vessels known as bomb ships, built specifically for anti-station warfare, these weapons are able to thunder through armor plating and inhabited modules of a station with tremendous momentum, causing brutal and widespread damage. Siege carronades are also the subject of one of the most infamous embarrassments in the history of the Centron Defence Force. The nonsensically titled Winstanley-class post-corvette was the brainchild of Landon Winstanley, usher companion of the Garrowin Rod and son of notable CDF Admiral Spencer Winstanley. An influential donor to the coffers of the Civic Formalist Party, the Admiral had evidently used his influence to fulfill his son's ambitions of holding a senior naval architecture position at Keeper's Dance. The younger Winstanley, undeterred by the diminished resources of the Frontier War's long stalemate, then set about relentlessly pursuing the development of his magnum opus. While it remains unknown to this day whether he named the craft after his father or himself, history is in no doubt of the ship's combat effectiveness, or lack thereof. Seemingly motivated simply by the fact they were on paper the largest and most powerful weapons available, Winstanley chose to arm the ship solely with siege carronades, installed in 8 different emplacements across the ship. The vessel, however, was not intended for anti-station warfare, was ship-rigged, and framed as a fast attack vessel, hugely overloaded with crew and habitation facilities, as well as the 8 enormous manned gun emplacements. The thrust-to-mass ratio of the Winstanley class was excruciatingly unfavourable. The ship could not reliably keep formation with any other vessel in its weight class, and took several hours to accelerate to cruising speed. But perhaps most crucially, the glacial muzzle velocity of its siege carronades made it impossible for even the most skilled of gunners to land a shot anywhere near a hostile vessel. Both Winstanley and his esteemed father initially blamed this shortcoming on the gun crews of the 2 vessels constructed, demanding they be investigated for gross incompetence. But when the ambush at Jared Salan reignited the war into its full swing, the protestations of the Winstanleys were quietly buried by the Admiralty, as both ships were swiftly dismantled for materials. Thank you for watching. You can get the Sojourn through various distributors, all of which are accessible through www.thesojournaudiodrama.com. You can also get the series through Patreon, where you'll be able to access various bonus features, including our visual dictionary, Guinevere cross-sections, and anthology shorts. Remember to join us on Discord and get regular updates on all upcoming Sojourn releases. All the related links can be found below this video. Fair winds.